Lopez wants it away.
And it's hit deep to left center. Andrew Jones on the run. This one has a chance. Home run! Mike Piazza and the Mets lead 3-2. Bartolo has done it! The impossible has happened! This is one of the great moments in the history of baseball.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mets fans of all ages, here is your host, Nick Durst. Hello, Mets fans. Welcome back to Bleav in the Mets right here in the Bleav Podcast Network. I'm your host, Nick Durst, and the Mets, we know the season's over as far as playoff contention here, but there's a few things to be excited about. The team's playing hard for the most part. Kodai Senga has been sensational. I think he should get Cy Young votes. He'd be my vote for Rookie of the Year. He continues to dominate. Pitched 7 innings the other night, gave 1 run, and he said that was not good enough because they gave a run. So very excited for him. He's going to be the ace moving forward. Talked about in the last few episodes, maybe they get Yamamoto to pair him with Senga at the top of the rotation. I think they should go for Blake Snell as well. If you can get 2 out of the 3 top Cy Young guys from 2023, top ERA guys in 2023, on your 2024 staff, that would be huge. I know he's going to take a lot of money, but listen, Steve Cohen, he's got the money. He could do it. I know they said they're going to back off on spending here, but you never know when Steve Cohen might get that itch to spend. He tried to do it last year with Carlos Correa. So we'll see. If the price is right, it goes to Steve Cohen. And if you're a player on the market, a top-tier player, the first thing you should be saying in free agency is, hey, agent, call Steve Cohen, call Billy Eppler, call David Stearns if he's going to be the executive president of baseball operations, because you want to get that big deal contract, you want to get the Mets involved. So we'll see how that all plays out moving forward here. Joining me now to help me break everything down in the Mets world is the host and founder of the Subway to Shea podcast, Anthony Rivera. Anthony, welcome. How you doing, man?
Nick, what's up, my friend? I don't know if you saw, but I was bobbing up and down, dancing to the background of your intro, man. That was awesome. I love that.
Some fire stuff, that intro there, and amazing voiceover work at the end of it for sure. So let's get right into the top story here in Mets world. Something happened that I never thought was going to happen this season, and that is Ronny Mauricio. He made his debut, and it was electric. Unfortunately, it was on Apple TV on Friday night, and I didn't get to see it because I was not paying for that. Maybe if they were good, but even last year, I didn't go for the Apple TV games. But he followed it up Saturday night with 2 hits in his first 2 at-bats. You were in the building. You have some season tickets. Your takeaway from Mauricio right here to start off his career over the weekend.
So I didn't get to go to that game, but I was at the Saturday game, and he still got more hits. He has not stopped hitting. Got a couple strikeouts, but so far, so good at bat. He had his first career stolen base at the game I went, but that one at bat, his first at bat, 117 miles per hour. Now, I'm not huge on the exit velocity and all that stuff. A hit's a hit, an out's an out. But, you know, considering that he's had the number, like he had the hardest hit ball all season for the Mets, that's got to say something.
It says a lot to me, and I think I don't remember the last time I remember a prospect being so like underhyped, undervalued in the minor leagues and making a big debut. It's got to be Jacob deGrom, because remember DeGrom, they saw this guy's going to be a reliever. Mauricio, for some reason, he was on my radar going into the last season, but going to this season, he was really, last season was not on the Mets radar. I didn't think he was going to be a top prospect. I thought maybe we could trade this guy. To me, Anthony, he looks like the best of all the prospects. Definitely, and it's 2 games. It's only a few games, but he's looked better than Beatty. He's looked better than Vientos, and he's done this now dating back to January in the Dominican Winter League with some veterans. The question's going to be, will he be able to hit that off-speed stuff once they get a book on him? Right now, fastballs, he's smashing the ball. But, listen, I have high hopes for him. And I'm saying, I think if this guy's anything less than Jose Reyes, we got a problem here with the Mets. We need to make some stars here. We got to do some of the fantastic stuff. So I'm excited to see what the future holds. What do you think about his debut so far, what he's doing, and what do you see the future for Ronny Mauricio?
Well, the future for him is if he can adjust to the major league pitching, right? He's done well the first 2 games. We've seen this with a lot of prospects before. The thing is, how will he be able to adjust? We've seen Francisco Alvarez, who's been able to adjust, but the game is a constant set of adjustments. And now Alvarez is struggling a little bit. We'll see if he'll be able to get out of his funk. But so far, so good. I liked what I've seen. I think what Buck Showalter said during the press conference, him looking more into his defense. I think that's going to be a big storyline. Can Ronny Mauricio play an adequate second base enough to, be that position and not have to worry about that in the future? Because then you can move Jeff McNeil to left field. You really only have to worry about third base because we don't know whether Beatty's that guy. I don't think Vientos is that guy. And maybe they'll go out in the offseason and get somebody. Are they going to give Beatty a chance there? Are they going to move Beatty to left field? I don't know. It's a lot of moving parts going on. But if we can get Ronny solidified at second base along with his hitting, I think the Mets are in good shape. And he has the perfect partner to pair with in Francisco Lindor, who played really good shortstop all season long.
All right, so Anthony, Ronny Mauricio here are going to be a few options for 2024. Opening day, he's on the roster. Opening day, he's on another team's roster. Or opening day, he's in AAA on the Syracuse Mets. So what do you think is going to be the most likely outcome for him?
I'm going to say he's not going to be on the AAA roster. I think that's done with. I think he's proved all he can there. I am 50-50 on whether he will be on this team second base or if he will be traded at some point.
Right.
I don't know how they really feel about him because he, like you mentioned earlier, he really has not been talked about a lot on the major league roster.
They thought he was going to be so good, they could have called him up in May when they needed him to save the season, and they didn't.
No, they didn't call him up, and I had a feeling that he would get that September call. You came on my show, and we talked about when Ronny Mauricio was going to come up. This was at the trade deadline. Was he going to come up after they decided to punt the season? I thought they would do it to probably sell tickets. If there was an injury, maybe he'd come up. None of that happened. And then once I saw none of that happening, I was like, he'll be a September call-up. And here we are in September 1st. He's been called up, and he's looked good so far. So we'll see what they do with him.
How do you feel about Brett Beatty? He gets called back up for September, plays Friday night, bench Saturday night. I was like, I don't know what they're doing. I know they put Vientos in there, but
it obviously worked out, though. It worked out because Mark Vientos came up, and although he did injure himself, he's supposed to come back and play Tuesday, but he had a couple hits. He had a home run, and he got on base. He took a walk. So that's kind of what you want to see. If these guys aren't going to play really good defense, they're going to have to light it up at bat, and Beatty has not been doing that at all.
No, I will say, and we'll talk about 2024 in a moment here, but so far, Ronny Mauricio, he's off to a good start, and I'm with you 50-50. He's traded 50-50 as a Met because they need starting pitching, right, Anthony? And what did Epler say at the deadline? He said, we're not going to be spending like crazy in the offseason. So where are they going to get that pitching from? Is it going to be David Peterson, who's got a 5.5 ERA? Is it going to be Tyler McGill, who's got a 5.5 ERA in the rotation with Senga? Are you going to bring Carrasco, who you DFA'd, who's got a 7 ERA? No, you're going to need 3 pitchers at least, probably 4. So if you're not signing anybody, you're trading people. And I've been saying this on the show for a while now, whether it's Mauricio or somebody else. I really think the Brewers might move Corbin Burnes this offseason. Remember last year, they had the nasty arbitration battle. And I think next year would be his last year under arbitration, or maybe the year after. So the Mets and Brewers, we already heard, Anthony, they were talking at the trade deadline about Alonso. So I think Corbin Burnes is going to be on the move. He's somebody I would like to see the Mets go after if the price is right. For you, Anthony, of these Mets prospects, we'll take the new guys they got. We'll take the ones that are at the majors right now. Is there anybody you would not trade out of the group?
I'm not a prospect hugger. I really am not. We've seen prospects in the past like Lastings Millage, Fernando Martinez. The list goes on and on and on that they've, held on to and have not become anything. So if they're going to trade it for someone, especially like a guy like Corbin Burns, I'm not married to any of these prospects whatsoever. And now that we've seen Vientos and Beatty, who were untouchable last year, now people want to trade them because they're not producing at the major league level, right? And obviously the same thing is going to happen if Ronny Mauricio has a bad couple of weeks, right? They're going to want to trade him. And I'm pretty sure the same thing would have happened with Francisco Alvarez. I'm pretty sure people are talking about it now. Why didn't we trade Francisco Alvarez at the trade deadline for Shea? There are some people out there that do that. One thing I do know from Billy Epler, and this came out on a tweet earlier on in the day, from Jim Duquette and Bob Bowden, who host a show on MLB Network Radio on SiriusXM. And Billy Epler was on there with them and told them that they're going to be in the starting pitching market in the offseason. Whether that's trading or whether that's signing, that's to be determined. Now, a big thing about that, and especially since you're talking about Milwaukee, is what happens if David Stearns comes in here? David Stearns has a relationship with Corbin Burns, I'm pretty sure. So that plays a big factor into all this stuff. And, you mentioned Snell, who's probably a big part of that as well. I was thinking about Eduardo Rodriguez, the lefty from Detroit. That's some guy that I would be interested in. And obviously, there's a lot of other starting pitchers. The starting pitching market is pretty solid this offseason. It's the hitting that's going to take a deep dive.
So 2024, an election year. So I think Burns and Stearns, 2024, that's the way to go. Put on the ticket.
I like that. Burns and Stearns, 2024.
I think if you're the Mets, if you can, I think you go. Number one guy I'm targeting, Yamamoto from Japan.
Absolutely.
Get him. You got the ties there already. Had Dexter Henry on from the New York Post. We were talking about, maybe all these Japanese guys want to play together, so they have a little culture built in. So I'm targeting Yamamoto. I would still say to target Ohtani. Maybe he's not going to pitch, but if you can get him, maybe the price drops now. You need somebody for the offense, but we'll talk about that in a second. So I would say, Senga, you got to have him. Yamamoto, you want him. I would then say, if you could trade for Corbin Burns, do that. That's looking like great rotation, right? Mm-hmm. And, sign somebody else. Maybe Blake Snell really wants to be a Met, right? So that'd be a really solid rotation. And then you can get by with a David Peterson or Tyler McGill. You still got Quintana, who's been really good. So that's a really solid rotation right there. So what do you think about that plan for pitching-wise? I know you mentioned Rodriguez, but of those guys there, what do you think should be the top targets for the Mets for pitching?
I think Yamamoto is a big target for the Mets, and we already seen Billy Epler has been able to, work the Japanese market pretty well. Obviously, he signed Ohtani when he's with the Angels. He's signed Senga now, and going after Yamamoto, that would be another, coup for the Mets. And I think Yamamoto is considered a better pitcher than Senga was coming into the league. So I wouldn't mind any of that. I need a guy that's going to eat innings. That's very important going into next season because that affects the bullpen as well. And I don't think the Mets are going to be able to reshape the entire pitching staff, which is really needed. And then you mentioned the guys earlier, the David Peterson. I think he's more meant for the bullpen. The only, guy out of that group of pitchers that you mentioned that will make the rotation possibly for the Mets, and obviously Carlos Carrasco's gone after this season, it's probably Tyler McGill. This is a big audition for him for the rest of the season. He's pitched well over the last couple of starts. He's a guy that I think that could probably get you by as the fifth starter in this rotation. And then you got the Mike Vasils coming up in the world, the Dom Hamels, Zigglers, all those guys that played Tidwell, all those guys are going to be coming up. They're probably about a year or two away. But if you can somehow move David Peterson to the bullpen, he could be a nice lefty to go along with Brooks Raley. Obviously, Drew Smith's going to be a part. I'm not a big fan of Drew Smith, but Edwin Diaz has come back.
Sign David Robertson.
Maybe sign David Robertson back. You got to move the rest of the bullpen down.
A lot of help the bullpen needs.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be key. But the pitching, there's some guys to target out there. Like I said, maybe not Corbin Burns, but we've seen Epler before trade for a guy going into his walk year with Chris Bassett. So I think they'll be active there in the market. And I asked you about the prospects you wouldn't trade. I'd personally be okay with trading anybody except Mauricio right now because whatever Mauricio does in a month here, I don't think it's enough to prove either way. So I want to hold on to him. I would trade Acuna because he's really highly touted. So I'll get rid of him. I think I want to hold on to Drew Gilbert. I want to hold on to Clifford. I would trade Acuna. I would trade Beatty. I would trade Vientos. And I would trade Alvarez because the Mets' top prospect's a catcher, Kevin Parada. So I don't know. They say everything you read about him is he'll come to the majors. He's going to hit 300. Maybe he won't hit the power. But, I'm only trading Alvarez if it's like we're getting like a legitimate MLB All-Star, right? So keep that in mind. But I'd be open to trading these guys because, like you said, if you can get a proven commodity, go for it. And 2024, I hope they go for it. We'll see. They told Max Scherzer they're not going to be going for it. Offensively, with this roster, you're looking around here. We're saying if Mauricio's in there, McNeil's going to play the outfield, or maybe they end up moving Mauricio to third, Beatty the outfield. Marte's going to be back. Nimmo's going to be back. Alonso, we hope, is back. It'd be crazy to not have him back. Lindor's there. Alvarez is catching. Where are they going to – they need to improve this team offensively. This team is awful offensively, dating back to the playoffs last year. So where is this player coming from? Are they going to trade for somebody? Are they going to sign somebody? What kind of moves do you think you could see the Mets making offensively in the offseason?
I haven't really checked in on the list of who is available on the offense because I've been so focused on the pitching. But the Mets definitely need an improvement at DH. If you're going to,
you don't want to bring Vogel back again,
and I think he's signed for another year. I don't know, but there are people who love Daniel Vogelbach. I don't see it. I know everyone brings up the stat line. He's first in this and first in that, but during big spots, he has not come through as much as he has lately.
We need a DH who's going to hit at least 20 home runs and hit like 275.
You watch now. He's gonna end the season with about 18, 19 home runs, and people are gonna be like, "Hey, look at what Vogelbach did now." But maybe DJ Stewart is the guy for that spot. Look at what he's done.
He's keeping the party going right now on the ones and twos. Is this guy legit, Anthony? And if he is, where is he? Where is he all this season?
Well, he's had to stay in the minors for most of it because they kept with Daniel Vogelbach. They kept with, the Danny Mendick's of the world. And they had Tim McCastro come up earlier on in the season. So DJ Stewart was kind of, stuck in the minors. But besides DH, the Mets need to make a decision. Are they going to allow either Brett Beatty or Mark Vientos to grow at third base and get, be able to grow with the woes they've had in offense and defense, or are they going to get a major league caliber third baseman? And I know Chapman's available. I know he is available. Not saying that I want him, but the Mets really need to think about what they're going to do there. Are they going to allow themselves to watch these kids grow up the next year and see if they have anything in those two at third base? Or are they going to pivot and sign a major league caliber third baseman? Because they were really close to doing that with Carlos Correa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you have to keep in mind here that the Mets traded for 4 shortstops at the deadline. And none of them are going to play shortstop. So somebody's going to move to third, someone's going to move to second, someone's going to move to the outfield. There's only so many spots. So eventually these prospects, Anthony, are going to be moved for pitching because there's no pitching in the depth chart in the organization. Acuna, let's say, did they move him to outfield? Did he go to second? Did he go third? Did they trade him? That's going to be interesting to see because he's the most major league ready, they say. Maybe end of the year next year, he could be up. I don't know where he's going to play, though. DJ Stewart, though, he's been great so far. I really wouldn't surprise me if this guy is the DH going into next season.
Yeah, no, and I would not be upset about that either if he was a DH. I'm wondering, like, if maybe Mark Vientos can get his bat going. Maybe you can have him and DJ Stewart going back and forth at DH. But I don't know. Now that I've heard that Vogelbach kind of has another year, which I really thought he only had 1 year. If he does have another,
I thought he had the 1 year, $1 million option picked up for this year, arbitration. Maybe he's arbitration eligible again next year. I think that might be it.
That might be it. And if that's so, and he comes back, I don't know, because, anytime I have a complaint about Daniel Vogelbach, there are fans that come out and come out for support for him. So we'll see what the Mets are going to do. Billy Epler, for me, he's kind of like a mystery with building this roster. When they won 101 games and you thought at the trade deadline that they were a move or two away, that this was the time that they were going to trade prospects, they didn't want to do it. This year, they completely sell, right? And they get rid of everybody and try to build the farm system. And that threw me off as well. So it's a mystery of what this team is actually going to do moving forward.
No clue what's going to happen. But what we do know is we'll be here on this podcast, Anthony's podcast, to talk about what is happening moving forward here. Anthony, this has been great. Let everybody know where they can find you and your show.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Subway to Shea. I write for Rising Apple, at Rising Apple blog. You can check them out as well. And you can see me every so often. I've been on New York Post, SNY, with your guest from last week, Dexter Henry. So check me out. I'm everywhere. And Subway to Shea podcast.
Check out Anthony at Citi Field. He's got a few more dates. He's got to go to games this season.
Yeah, I have a few more tortures to take part in, especially when Daniel Vogelbach tries to stretch a single into a double, and in the ninth. So that was fun.
All right, Anthony. Thank you very much, everybody. Make sure you're following Bleav in the Mets on social media at BleavInthemets. Bleav in the Mets. Instagram, Facebook, X, YouTube, everywhere. TikTok, we're all there. Make sure you follow us. We're getting some good stuff, good feedback from all you fans. And I, of course, am on Twitter, or X, as you call it now these days, at Nick_Durst, on Instagram at Nick's Food and Stuff. So that's going to do it here for this episode of Bleav in the Mets. And until next time, everybody, let's go Mets.